My friend, today we're going to talk about chord progressions. Those chord progressions can find themselves being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When we talk about chords in the nature of a diatonic scale, we are talking about structures that have 7 notes. From those 7 notes, we are then able to see that we could find ourselves playing something like C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now, this video is not going to be a crash course in music theory. You should already know what a triad is and how to form a chord. If you do not, this ain't the video for you. Check out something else right now. As far as this, we're going to show you that when we use our C major and or our circle of fifths, we're going to be seeing chord structures which come from these notes. C, G, D, A, E, B, A, F sharp, and A, C sharp. And then F major, B flat major, E flat major, A flat major, D flat major is the same as C sharp, G flat's the same as F sharp, and B is the same as C flat. If you play music and you cannot draw this circle fifth, again, stop what you're doing. Don't watch me. Go learn how to play music through the eyes of the circle fifths. This is the tool we use to learn how to practice, learn how to understand music theory, because all music is viewed through the eyes of the major, and it allows us to associate this with a multitude of different things. Today's different thing is a chord progression. What do I mean? Most people who play music do not follow something called a chord chart, which means if you're in the key of C and we are playing 4 beats per measure and the quarter note gets the B, we play a 6 chord, we play a 1 chord, we play a 5 chord, and then we play how about a 1 chord again? When you put a double beam and 2 dots, that means to repeat. This is what a whole song looks like. In fact, a lot of music doesn't have a B section. So a whole chart for a whole song could be just this, and it's the whole thing. That's a whole Taylor Swift song. 4 chords. La, 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 la. Today I'm going to show you how to get a little groovy, take those 4 chords and see all of music as being so super silly relative that it breaks the brain. Broke the brain. So when we're playing on our instrument, today's instrument of choice, I think I'm going to play the ukulele or the guitar, but necessarily, I'm just going to show you how to put your fingers in a couple places if you have questions about what scales we're using or how to, navigate around the fretboard. And I would say, watch this video. Let's see here. So, C major, when I do this on this channel, you are talking about a triad formed from 2 dyads that make up a major third or a minor third. In the key of C major, when we have a treble clef and we're reading it, we have a treble clef on the G line. And because C, E, and G form a 1, 3, 5, that's how we form any chord. This is a C, E, and this is a G. So whenever you see a note on this measure, that means that you're going to have these 3 notes. I hope that makes sense. C, E, and G. If you do not know how to read the staff, I would say, again, stop what you're doing here. Google how to sight read music. If not, there's a bunch of playlists on this channel. If you dig, you can go watch that. Otherwise, today we're going to talk about playing a progression. The 1 chord aforementioned is right here. The 6 chord goes to the A, C, and E. This is how you would see an A minor triad. So, having said that, I think it would be super, super important to see all the different notes in the key of C major. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. This right here is how we see these 4 notes as being a tetrachord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of these notes have names. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. And these are all the scale positions for the key of C major. So when playing any song like a 1, 4, 5 in the key of C major, we would have C, F, and G. Da 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 da. That's what those sound like in every single instrument, no matter if you have frets or you have a fingerboard. When going through these, we find that the notes that we choose while playing over the top of any chord in the key of C major works. But other chords happen to have a definitive nature to want to lean towards certain tones. That's why we learn scales. That's why I teach the circle fifths And by seeing C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, stuff like this, you can see that in the key of C we have 3 majors, 1, 4, and 5. In the minors we've got 3 minors, D minor, E minor, A minor, and 1 amazing diminished. Now, this is an Ionian mode. If you were to change this to having any other different notes, you would then start deriving different types of modus, but we're not going to talk about that. We might talk about 1 or 2 while I'm soloing over here. However, I want you to feel how to disassemble progression. So look at it. The chord progression we have in the key of C major is 6 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. That means 6 chord is an A minor, our 1 chord is a C, 5 chord is a G, and back. So, by doing this, what we're going to be utilizing when we go from our 6 is we're going to use C major or C Ionian. When we go to our A minor, we're going to use our A Aeolian. These are all the same scale. They're just putting different names on the different positions of the 7 notes in the scale. When we go to the 1 chord or the 6 chord, we can use either one of these. It will sound golden, cherry, amazing, super groovy, tooty, awesome, woohoo. As far as our G, G major has a different key signature. Since we have C major, no sharps and flats, if we went this way, F would have 1 flat. That flat is B flat. But G has 1 sharp. When we spell G, we have G, A, B, C, D, E, and then F sharp. If we don't have that F sharp, we would have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, which is a whole step resolution. It's still groovy, but not as definitively amazing as T-Do, the half step resolution. That's our F sharp. In fact, in every key, it has a half step resolution. It just happens that in the key of C major, B to C is that half step, as there are no half steps in between E to F or B to C. So, by able to do this, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, we can see that these tetrachords that have 4 notes divided, when put together, make our scales. So, over the top of G, knowing that there is no F sharp in the key of C, we're going to take that F sharp and take it away from G and use the minor 7th. The note that's in between E and F sharp is our major 7th. Our minor 7th is going to be the F. So knowing that allows us to utilize G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This modus right here, G, is called G Mixolydian. So what I want to do is show you when you're playing a chord progression that has any chord in the key of C or D or A or E or anything. It's all relative to what scale position you're on. Therefore, when we're playing a 1, we're playing a 6, and a 5, it doesn't really matter if we have these other notes in here. We're primarily looking at the modus of Ionian, Mixolydian, and then Aeolian. Aeolian, another name for Aeolian, is called natural minor. Hope this makes sense. I'm just going to snag my guitar because I can't seem to get YouTube or my videos or anything to work properly. So I'm just going to pull this down here, grab my stool, grab my... So I'll just give you the big old portion here. Let's see. Sorry about the poor quality. I just spent 30 minutes talking to YouTube with no avail. Figured out that I can't post or schedule anything 5 minutes before I go on. It has to be more than 10 minutes or else no way no. This is our A minor. This is our A minor. Not going to try to kill your ears here. Cool, so we're going to be playing an A minor to a C major to a G major back to the C. That's the A minor. this, as we aforementioned, we can have our C major, and then when we go to C or A, those sound great. Anything you can do over the top of the C and A minor works, and as long as you avoid the F sharp over the top of the G, no worries. So let's take these same chords and get out of the fashion of just having A minor to C to G. Let's use some more chords from the key of C. So let's try that A minor to the C, maybe the F, rhythm basically. If I were to play that C with a sharp 4, F sharp isn't over the top of F, so no Lydian. When going to the F major there, I can still play C major. But if you're going to play an F major scale, you have to omit the B flat. Just like when we were talking about G major, the F sharp is the only note in the key of G that doesn't quite fit with C. So if you flatten the F sharp to an F natural, the G dominant 7 works quite well with that modus. It's called Mixolydian. So over the top of something that would have our A minor, C major, F major, G, we can play any mode. Natural minor over the top, or over the top of C over A minor, you can play C major. Along with that, you can do like your A minor pentatonics, which are very much 5 notes. They're the same 5 notes of the C major pentatonic. So when doing it like a C major pentatonic or an A minor pentatonic, the reason why we practice those linearly, which means in order, is so we get accustomed to the notes and what they are. Then we practice the practice of practicing. And do different melodies using durations of notes and then different patterns. So oh man, I'm losing a little power here in one of my wireless mics. So the idea behind this is, no matter what your progression is, let's say we're writing another progression in the key of C. How about like that's a little loud. with a walk down to a G major, then an A minor, and then it has F major to the walk down to the G. F, G, A minor, F to C. So over the top, I would use something fun like. Simpler, maybe like a things that I use my looper for is just to get used to playing melodies over the top. So that little notice how when I went down to the low F, F, G, A, B, the reason why I know that definitively is something called F Lydian, because I know that F major has a B flat in it. When I alter that to have a raised fourth, F Lydian is the same thing as C major, and it is the same thing as G mixolydian. It is the same thing as D Dorian, and then it is the same thing as E Phrygian. So I'm not really stuck using any notes besides the 7 that are in the key, but then I could go outside of those using chromatic tones. This is a bit of a stretch in the beginning, but one of the really cool things to do is once you see that, you can start manipulating cool structures. Let's throw it in a key outside of the key of C major. How about the key of A? How about A? A, G, D, A, G, F. Do-da-bat, do-da-do. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. that's interesting, just out on a limb, is because those chords aren't naturally next to each other in the circle of fifths. Means there's a lot of tension built by getting away from those family of chords. Last thing I'm going to leave us on here, because I am out of time and I need to teach a student, or not need to, I get to teach a student. What we just saw is over the top of any progression, we could use notes from the scale. That last thing we did was in the key of A, but as you can clearly see, there is no F natural, nor is there a G natural in the key of A. Therefore, we were using the scale positions in the key of F, and the progression that we used alters our progression chord chart. F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor, E diminished. Meaning all of the chords that are derived out of this still maintain the same sonority due to where those notes are. G, A, A, C, E. We have a B flat, D, and an F. C, E, G, D, F, A. And then lastly we have E, E, G, B. When we get down to brass tacks, all of these chords that have these in here have a B flat. E, G, B would be a minor. We don't want a minor. We want a 1 flat 3 flat 5, so the B flat needs to be there. As far as all these chords go, these are the notes. Ionian is a major scale. When we do Dorian, this is going to be have our natural 6. When we do our third, our Phrygian, can I spell Phrygian? This one's going to have our flat 2, and it's also going to be moving through to have our flat 7, flat 6. When we have stuff like our Lydian, Lydian has a sharp 4. Mixolydian has a flat 7. When we do our natural minor or Aeolian, we've got a flat 3, a flat 6, and a flat 7. What does all this over here mean? When we're doing these modes like Locrian, that means that we are just simply taking the movements of our major scale, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, and we are moving one note to the forward and one note to the back. What does that mean? Well, the next one would have whole step, half step, whole, 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 half, whole. Ugh. And then after that, we'd switch. Half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. See how this works? Now the next one, Lydian, the reason why you have a sharp 4 is because you have all whole steps in a row. Then you've got your different movements here. Is that right? No. Beep, boop, beep, boop. 3 of them, 1, 2 of them, and then a half step. Cool, huh? The 2 coolest modes that I think are going to be Phrygian and Locrian because they start with the half step. Other than that, sorry, that was Lydian. Boom, Phrygian. Mixolydian has a whole, half because we're starting from here, right? Whole, half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whole, half. And then whole, half, whole. Whole, half, whole. And if this is just broken your brain and you're like, nah, I don't get this, I'm not going to understand it, take 5 minutes, get away from me jibber-jabbing, go Google modes and see how it all can be viewed through the eyes of C major. This will let you know how other teachers teach it, but really the beauty of this is finding out where the half steps are. This is how I use modes personally. So all those noodles that you just saw me doing, I utilize the half step as if it's my favorite function of that. Now, if you play a mode like Aeolian or Natural Minor, which is this next one, we would have a whole step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. When we do this, we have our movement through here. I tend to like change this one into something called melodic minor and then harmonic minor. And these are the 2 that you want to learn once you learn natural minor. Other than that, by doing Locrian, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, half step, whole step, whole step, you know, we get some pretty weird functions here. Locrian by far is one of my favorites because it builds a lot of tension. You could use it over diminished chords, augmented chords. Whole tone scales are derived kind of near that. Napoleonic minor, Napoleonic major. Being able to move back and forth between these modes is really crucial and functional when you're trying to express yourself in something other than just major. Sorry about the extreme fastness of this, but I have a student coming up that I get to teach. Couldn't do my live sessions this morning because I can't figure out the computer, nor can I communicate with YouTube well enough to figure out what they're telling me to do to resolve the issue. Therefore, I'm just going to put up as much information until I figure out how to do this better, and then go from there. If you enjoyed this, please put a thumbs up, put something cool in the comment section, and we'll see you for our next adventure. Hopefully tomorrow. Tuesday, we do the live Q&A. So join us. Well, why don't you?